I was just like,
Okay. Can't start early. Parents get mad. Show up, we're in the third
here
inning.
you have time to give it to me.
All right. I'd like to call to order Monday, July 15, 2024, City Council meeting at 7 PM. Would you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome tonight. Ty Bailey and Marissa Jacobs are excused absence. Everybody else is present. Everybody had a chance to look at tonight's agenda. I'm looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Council President Miller,
I motion that council approve the agenda as presented.
motion by Council President Miller to approve the agenda as written. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Councilor Holmes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any public comments? I did have, I talked to Spotlight too, and I thought we might have our new city manager here tonight for public comment. But he informed me he came out and visited for the last 2 days, looking for places. Had a really good time, but they had to get back, him and his family, so they're on their way back right now, and so he won't be joining us for public comment. Hopefully next meeting he'll make an appearance. No other public comment. We will move on to the consent agenda. Tonight we're looking at the June 12th, 2024 special city council meeting minutes, the June 17, 2024 city council meeting minutes, June 24th, 2024 special city council meeting minutes, and June 27, 2024 special city council meeting minutes. A lot of minutes. Looking for someone to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Counselor Holmes makes a motion to approve the consent agenda as written. Any seconds?
Second.
Council President Miller seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, well, bittersweet moment here. I wanted to thank, I have a presentation to the Planning Commissioner, Bill Blank. Bill, we want to thank you for your hard work and years of dedication. Not just with the Planning Commission. I mean, you've been involved in so many things over the last 25 plus years, but all of 25 years on the Planning Commission. That's pretty amazing. So I wanted to give you this today. On down.
I'm on down.
Come on down. Right. In special recognition of Bill Blank for your outstanding service, dedication, and commitment to the city of Scappoose, Oregon, Planning Commissioner from February 1999 to June 2024. Thank you, Bill.
Well, thank you.
Here, and then you also get to take your plaque home.
I do. I did make a big deal.
Thank you.
I didn't.
No, no big deal.
This is your life.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank
Okay, now, Susan, we start the video show. All the pictures and videos. Scappoose was a one-lane highway when he started. in lane country road. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Jeff. Moving on. Okay, a good one here. We wanted to do a Scappoose Summer Outdoor Festival update. First year, so before we get too far away and have to start making plans for next year, we wanted to kind of give an update there. If JJ Duran, if you wanted to come up real quick. And well, why don't we just go ahead, and since I have you, come on down.
Get one too?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Finally get your trophy. In special recognition of JJ Duran for your outstanding service, dedication, and commitment to the 2024 Scappoose Summer Outdoor Festival. Thank you, JJ. Pulled it off.
Yes, good job, JJ.
I didn't even have to do that much, so I appreciate that. Sure,
Well, I'd like
have
to,
fun.
well, thank you. That is very, very kind. I spent a lot of hours, a lot of time really working on developing this event, which I think is really important for Scappoose. Not only is it good for the community, but it also, identifies Scappoose as the gateway to the outdoors, which we really are. And so it was, but let me just say, none of that could have happened without our esteemed librarian, Jeffrey Weiss, who we need to give a really, really big round of applause.
Speaking of-
Jeff is amazing. I just, couldn't do this without him. And the library is such an essential part to our whole parks program right now because we do not have, any kind of parks and recreation building. And so the library basically takes on that role and has been so helpful and supportive in us doing, these kind of events. And the outdoor festival, it's really just an accumulation of me working with Jeff for 8 years now? Surprised you still have hair. And starting out with doing movies in the park, which was very small to start with, and we really grew it. And then, of course, moving on and taking on Earth Day, which I think has also been a resounding success. And it was really exciting to get the Tesla superchargers and charging stations, in our community last year. And then, the movies in the park, which people love, in large part because of our Scappoose Police Department dishing up burgers and hot dogs for everybody. But, it's this kind of work that really defines the quality of life for a city. And, I also have to say a special thank you to Tyler Miller for your generous support of the outdoor festival. We really appreciate that. Kim, great job. Joe, great job. Even though you didn't get the golf stuff, you showed up and you worked your butt off all day, which is great. And Jeanette, thank you so much for supporting me. And of course, Dave, oh my God, you rocked it. That park was awesome that day. And, Dave has just been such an asset to our events as well, because, he makes sure that the lights are on or off in the gazebo. I mean, all of these things that have to happen so people can have a really good time. Dave is really behind the scenes making that happen. And I really want to thank you for that. And, talking about, next year, I mean, I'm excited to do it. We really need the library support with that. So we will be asking for funding to make that happen, but we'll wait until the new city manager gets in place before we start getting money out of his pockets. As you know, the events you've done in the past have cost $100,000. And frankly, in my opinion, this was a much better event, and it was much more authentic and much more heartfelt because it was really a community-built event. Having the Oregon Department of Forestry come and bring Smokey the Bear, having the Scappoose Police Department there supporting us, having the fire department there. I mean, all of these organizations, the Scappoose Bay Watershed, real stakeholders in our community that really, really believe in our community, really want to support it. And I think that is really key to doing events well. And the fact that we were able to bring back the Scappoose out, sauerkraut sandwich, which was, I believe it was a success. Was it a success, Bill? Yes. So it's doing this to where it's meaningful for a community. It gives a community identity. And, having done thousands of events during my career, it's really fun to do it. But once again, without your help and without Jeff, it cannot happen. So I think it's really important that we really, I share this with Jeff because he is he's amazing. And they work on a very small budget. So the other things I'm going to be working on is working to see if we can do a bond measure for the library so that they can actually have adequate funding to put on these programs. you know, Jeff told me, which shocked me, is that the librarians get paid $15 an hour. So basically, you can work at McDonald's and make more money than you can working at a library. And this is a library that works day in and day out to provide so many services. I mean, what you provide, like, you check out more stuff than the city of St. Helens. Is that correct? Here, why don't we let Jeff talk about all the amazing things that he does at the library?
So besides, putting on city events, we circulate more than any place else in the county. We have more programs than any place else in the county, and more community events than any place else in the county, with budget that is 15th from the bottom of all libraries per capita in the state. So
Awesome. Great job, Jeff.
Great job. We really appreciate it. I thought it went well. Does it work well with farmers market there? I mean,
It did. Well, Bill obviously is a saint, putting up with me, and we were able to really negotiate that well. And I think that also really added to the event. I mean, and that's the thing too. You need a lot of things going on to make it really attractive and fun for people. People today have a lot of choices that they didn't have 40 years ago. I mean, they can watch TV, they can go to their computer, they have all of these options. And for them to make that effort to come out to that event really says a lot about the reputation that I think Jeff and I have developed with the different events that we've done in the past, as well as just coming up with a really concise and thoughtful event that really resonates with people. Because, part of the challenge that we have with the outdoors is the fact that we are dealing with climate change. We are dealing with, more hot, extreme days. We're dealing with wildfires. I mean, things that weren't even an issue 10, 15 years ago are now front and center. And so not only was it an event to really highlight the outdoors, but it was also an event to really highlight how we can get through this. I mean, how do we deal with wildfires? I mean, it was really exciting to get ODF to really be a big participant in this event and really, talk about wildfire prevention. Having the Scappoose Fire Department, they're talking about how to protect your homes from wildfires. And there's a lot of things that we now have to learn about in order to not only survive but thrive into the future. And I think that is also a big part of this event. So thank you very much for the plaque. That is very
name on there.
thoughtful. And what's that?
Should I put Jeff's name on there as well and hung it in the library?
All right. Well,
so
I give it back to you.
going forward, we want to look at this again. What do we think on like September, October on coming back and making a proposal again so that we can vote and think about going forward? Does that timing work?
I think it needs to be pushed out a little bit more just to give the new city manager some more.
Right. And that's I totally agree, Tyler. I mean,
I don't like the outdoor fest, the adventure fest, you kind of needed several 9-10 months. Here, you probably don't need quite as many months. So maybe by the end of the year, October, November, we'll talk with Ben and we'll set it later in the year.
I would say later in the year is fine, but it does, I'm kind of like a duck on water. I look like I'm really serene, but I'm paddling like a devil underneath.
You can start your process now and get your planning.
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. It's really, it's a lot of, we got the first event out and it really worked. And it's also interesting too, that nobody else does anything like this in the North, which I find shocking because being outdoors and doing outdoor activities is the whole reason I live here. So, but anyway, thank you. You guys really helped to make it happen. And I really appreciate the support and we'll be coming back asking for a lot of money, but not as much as.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys. Thank you, Jeff.
I can see the new city manager
Yeah.
loving
Feel
this.
like this. Good fit. Okay, moving on. Meisner Property Donation. We have Acting City Manager and Public Works Director Dave Sukow to present.
Mayor and Council, this next item is an amazing opportunity for the city. Dwayne and Elizabeth Meisner have been contemplating for several years what to do with their property. They've got a 2-acre parcel on Lower Dutch Canyon Road that is a forest within the city, so to speak. And they are proposing to donate 1.91 acres to the city for the purpose of a park. The Intent of this is to keep it as an urban forest. They're aware of amenities that would need to be constructed, such as a parking lot, restrooms, a small play area, was recommended by them. There would be frontage improvements and drainage improvements to be made. And then there's also been some conditions identified in your staff report. They have chosen a name for the park, the Timmy Nature Preserve. In your packet, you've been given some context as to their explanation as to why they feel that name is appropriate. They would also like to have a plaque installed. And then they also would like to have the city provide them a fence to barrier their current property from this proposed property. And then also contemplate a stipulation that this city would not deviate from this being a public park for life. Currently. Staff is recommending to council to accept this property, move forward with these stipulations. If you disagree with these stipulations, the Meisners are prepared to negotiate. And I will take back to them what your recommendations tonight are. He's expecting that meeting, conclusion of tonight. And with that, I'll leave it to you.
Thank you, Dave. Definitely appreciate the Meisners. This is a great opportunity looking through here. I didn't see any issues with their requirements. The one question is, how do you stipulate? Is it a resolution? Is it an ordinance? Is something to where you eat it as a park here forever?
Yeah, I would assume that what we would do is have a contract that language is drafted into. And then you would have resolution accepting that contract.
I do like the idea of keeping it as a park. That does still give it some flexibility of what kind of a park down the road based on what the contract says. Children's playground, nature preserve, I would hope are always going to be needed. Question I do have is I would maybe, I don't know enough about this, but get an approval from the local tribes based on what they're asking for, maybe that they accept it and the terminology, everything is fine on their behalf. We're trying to bring that into play. I want to make sure they are okay with it as well.
You're saying that just to, for the record, that this nature park preserve and park are dedicated to Native Americans, lived in this land for thousands of years in harmony with nature. So I agree that it's dedicated to the Native Americans, and maybe there's a way, something, maybe they just either are part of it. I think they should be part of it. I think it would be it all together.
Yeah, if there's any signage, any logos or signage or things, I just want to make sure that it's all been approved. Yes.
Dave, do you know if they reached out per the email that's contained in our packet? Do you know if the Meisners reached out to the member of the Grand Ronde tribe that they referenced in the email?
I have not had verbal communications about this. This packet was sent to us in a paper form. I spoke briefly with Mr. Meisner on the phone, so I don't have any facts other than what's in this right now. But I can certainly go back and get questions answered.
Based on their other requirements that are here, I would imagine they're wanting to in line with the wishes of the Grand Ronde tribe. So I don't see that as being an issue.
Looks like they've reached out to them and asked for help and support. And so I'm sure they will follow up and make sure that they work together. On the picture, just for clarification, on the picture, if you're looking at it to the south, there is some parking along the road there. It's kind of a wide road there, Dutch Canyon Road. So there will be some parking along the road there.
It's actually narrow on that particular, on the north side of the road. There's not a lot of shoulder there.
No, on the south side.
The south side, there is parking over there,
Yeah,
yes,
south
as a
side.
part of the Canyon.
You'll kind of account for that as whatever size of parking lot you deem we need, kind of account for some on-street parking and neighbors coming in, or is it going to require a lot of parking? Yeah, what is the code zone?
Why I stayed.
Great.
So typically, on-street parking doesn't count towards your parking requirement, but parks are somewhat unique. It would require site development review approval, so land use process to approve a new park. And it's at that time that we would review any kind of parking standards. If I recall, the parking standards are somewhat open to interpretation, just from the standpoint that it's going to depend what's at each park, you know. I mean, if you have ball fields, you're going to need more parking than if it's a nature reserve. So, yeah, that's something we would evaluate at the time it's being proposed to be developed.
That's a 35-mile-an-hour zone there too, and we wouldn't want people, kids.
It's not safe really to be crossing there per se. Yeah.
On the Southwest Havlick Drive, right at the corner where the blue line is of the property boundary that they're proposing, is that like a little road driveway? Just to the east of the blue line? Is there any walking access? On the map, Southwest Havlick Drive
Are you talking about page 26 of your packet?
map she gave us today.
Oh, over here. Oh, sorry.
Looks like an empty.
Just,
parcel.
there's, on Southwest Havlick Drive, a lot of houses, then an open spot, and then a lot of houses. Is that gonna be a walking path? Is there any access from there for people to walk from this neighborhood?
There is not.
What is that? And then Mike, I was gonna say, why is it? I appreciate the land, but it kind of goes on the angle. What is, there's someone there, something there that they're,
I assume that what this is an existing parcel right now that he didn't do any lot line
Correct.
adjustments to
I see.
compensate for this. He's just using one of his parcels and donating it as it is.
Okay.
That is, I think, a stormwater catch too, so
That is, in South Fork, that is where their stormwater goes.
That's what-
really the only access is gonna be on the south side.
It's deceiving from this, but there's about an 8-foot drop off behind a fence right there. That's just a big pond, concrete pond,
Against the houses,
close to the homes, yes.
but drop off?
It's just, yeah, it's a concrete pond.
Neighborhood.
Okay.
No, do you need an approval to accept the property donation? We have to be specific and just.
If you-
For our support.
If you are comfortable with the way everything is proposed by the Meisners, then yes, you can accept it as that. Or you can give me direction to go back and gather more information or speak with him about things that you're not comfortable with and how, like a counter proposal.
Did you have any issues or questions that you kind of?
My only concerns is anything to do with Indian folklore. From my experience working in the community, is there's always differences of opinions. I've worked with the county on the CZ Trail and different aspects, and it's always challenging because you won't get two people to say the same thing. So that would be my only concern.
Yeah, it did kind of raise a question in my mind when they said that they have found like artifacts on this site. If we were to do any sort of construction of a children's playground, are we going to have to do archaeological impact study potentially? Right? I mean,
Yeah, this could come with its challenges. We've reviewed this internally. Lori has gone through it from the land use. Land use wise, it's a fit. We do need to look at storm drainage because with the frontage improvements, everything on the north side of the road that stormwater would come to us. So we would have to build the necessary infrastructure to figure out where to dispose of that water. It could be as easy as finding a way to convey it into that pond of South Fork, but I don't know that at this juncture. Really, we're just looking for next steps. Is this of interest to council to move forward with? If so, we can just keep this progressing.
I do have one question. In terms of balancing the use of space between a children's park and an open nature preserve, because they did say things in here like they didn't want it manicured, tree trimming, things like that. Have they talked about the balance of the use of the site that they would be okay with? Like, only so much square footage wise can go towards the children's playground while the rest, the balance.
They haven't got into details of that, but they're very reasonable in understanding that there would be 10 to 20 cars, a 2-stall bathroom similar to what we're putting in their area, 50 by 100 for kids to play. They encourage that, But there, anything not required to do that, they would love to keep the trees. The property right now is very special. I've toured it. There's trails throughout. There's a lot of different types of wildlife in there. It's a great facility to maintain those trails and have little signage that tells you what each things are and maybe some animal identification and things. It is literally first within our city. Very special.
And when you, if we do approve the, you'll have to bring it back to council at some time if there's money involved in building, I mean, to approve it.
Yeah, and where I was gonna go, as Lori stepped up, is we would probably end up having to build some version, hopefully maybe of a temporary parking lot. I don't know if that's even feasible yet, but those are things that we're looking at is could we do a small version just to get people onto the property and using it, maybe without the restrooms. Maybe that's a portable toilet. Those kinds of things haven't fully been explored yet. We're just at the early stages to see if you're even interested.
I definitely am interested, with this information. Be interested to see what you plan and come up with later, but I think it's a great opportunity.
I have a question. Has the next door neighbors been notified that what they're doing? Have they been, I'm sure they have.
Not by us. If they have, it would have been through Mr. Meisner.
They haven't
We,
shared
we have not done that outreach.
Just wondering how they, I mean, of course, it'd be great to have a park next to, but I don't live there, so just wondering if they have any say.
I'm sure all the trees, it's all probably residential zoned.
Yeah, and Counselor Santiago, to your point, it is zoned R4, and so that does allow for public parks outright. So the neighboring property owner wouldn't have a say so much in it being used as it's, an outright permitted use, but they would receive a notice at the time that it's moving forward in the planning process for approval.
Mhm.
And they would have an opportunity to comment on the proposal at that time.
But typically, we build a fence on the west side as well, from the property owners to the park,
It would probably be highly recommended.
some kind.
Depending on what those neighbors, their appetite to either see into it or buffer
with
from
them.
it. So again, none of that has been explored yet because it would be a wasted effort if council wasn't interested in this opportunity. And there's nothing official, Mr. Meisner has expressed that in the future, they may donate more to the east. So this could grow. Right now, they currently live on the property and this is all they're willing to give up, but there is the potential.
Based on their requests of, their fence and everything else they requested, I have no problem with it.
You're seeking a formal action on this, Dave?
Just direction. Yeah, like I said, if you were comfortable with everything here, then I would just ask you to approve. But if there's things you want me to move forward with, I'm just looking for your direction.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President Miller.
I move council approve the acceptance of the Meisner property donation to be used as a nature preserve and children's park.
Motion by Council President Miller to approve the acceptance of the Meisner property donation to be used as a nature preserve and children's park. Any second?
Second?
Second by Councilor Holmes. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
You.
Appreciate it. Make sure you thank him from all of us. Tell him as well. He was my first email I got when I was running for office. You win, I got a park for you. Okay, so now we are on to the calendar. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, JJ. Thank you, Jeff. We are on July 15th, so I think the EDC meeting on Thursday is canceled.
Yes.
Parks and Rec as well. No, Parks and Rec has a meeting July 18th, park at 6 p.m. Again, every Saturday, 9 to 2, Scappoose Farmers Market. Please make sure you go to the farmers market. And we got August. Okay, starting August 2nd, movies in the park every Friday in August. Again, in the Scappoose Farmers Market every Saturday. Council work session August 5th at 6 PM, followed by city council meeting at 7 PM. Planning Commission Thursday, August 8th at 7 PM. EDC noon, August 15th, followed by Parks and Rec at 6 PM on August 15th. We do have another Urban Renewal Agency meeting on August 19th at 6 PM, followed by council meeting at 7 PM. Another Planning Commission meeting on August 22nd at 7 PM. That is it for August. Any updates, acting city manager?
I do, in no particular order, but I do have a few things to bring to your attention. Some of you may have seen on social media, there was, some issues with our fountain not functioning properly past 6:35. We have addressed that. The Curry team has reprogrammed it, so it is operational with water until 9 PM. We're gonna work to have summer and winter hours on that as we move forward with programming. Also, with the new white paint and the lights, we can coordinate it to be orange for Halloween, green and reds for Christmas. So we're gonna look at some of that to just emphasize different holidays and things and utilize it. Another exciting thing for us in Public Works is we received bids on our reservoir project, and we actually came in under the engineer's estimate on this one. So we'll be coming before you for contract approval at the next meeting for that, but we are excited to be moving forward with it. Public Works work down at Chapman Landing, and for any of you who utilize that, we're now asphalt from one end to the other. We used our crew and a paving machine and that last piece of gravel, so we're actually pretty excited about that. Reach F will be kicking off, which is the project with Scappoose Bay Watershed on the Grabhorn parcel. So they'll be doing that layback and construction later this month and through August. So anticipate seeing some pretty heavy construction in that vicinity. And as you said, the Parks Committee meeting will be this week. We're going to be talking through our CIP and prioritization, just so that we can get some direction there. And once I have the committee's feedback, I'll come to you. We'll talk about different priorities and see if we're all in agreement and get some things moving.
Great, appreciate it. Chief Brian, are you online?
Yes.
Hey, just wanted to see if you had any updates before we go into exec.
I'll go ahead and let Chris give the updates.
Great, appreciate it. Thank you, Lieutenant Flewellen.
Good afternoon, council. Just a couple things. We have one of our officers is still through the FTEP process or the field training process right now. He has a couple more weeks through that process go for be a solo officer, evaluate it. We have a part-time police officer position that we opened up. It's something new for the police department, at least for the past couple of years. That one of our officers, he's going through the process right now, through the background. Hopefully that'll be wrapped up here a couple weeks or so. 25-year veteran from there. Besides that, we got some cross training coming up with St. Helens Police Department coming up next week, which is good. Just keep building that interagency cooperation, which I think is paramount for our police department. Next month will be flipping burgers and hot dogs as usual every Friday at the Movies by Moonlight. So see you guys there. So that's pretty much it.
I do have a question. How did the 4th of July day go?
I worked that day. Really not too much to report. There were 2 firework calls that I remember off the top of my head, related to just being too close to brush and stuff like that. But worked last year before too in 2023. Really has been crazy.
Yeah.
We're actually pretty well off doing air celebrating for the United States. So
Great, appreciate it.
that's all I have pending. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor LaFrenz.
Oh, I'd just like to thank the Meisners for the generous donation. Multifunctional green spaces like that piece of space has been shown to be the best way to optimize health.
Thank you. Councilor Holmes.
I actually want to thank all of the grant applicants coming before us and utilizing this resource that we have, the community, to improve particular businesses. And it's exciting to see all of them eager to engage with the city to improve their properties. So I want to thank them.
Great, thank you. Councilor Santiago.
With that, I'd like to add to thank the EDC committee and also NJ. He's not here, but I wasn't able to attend that meeting, and I think they did a great job in processing and seeing what the applicants can or can't ask for, and so that they did a great job. I also want to mention, it was last week I attended, I think you did too, Tyler, as well. We attended the CET meeting, and Columbia County Economic Meeting, and OBI presented on a new possible measure that is it's called Initiative Petition 17. If you haven't heard about it, please go to Oregon Business and Industry, OBI. Basically, it's a group of Californian pro-tax activists is collecting signatures. And so basically they collected signatures to approve this petition to be in the ballot in November, and it was passed. And basically it is OBI was presenting how bad it would be for Oregonians. It's a massive tax on sales. And it would affect not only obviously any company that is making over 25 million in sales, but it also would affect other businesses as far as inflation. So please read on it and vote this November.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Council President Miller.
Thank you. Yeah, just to piggyback on what Councilor Santiago just said in regards to OBI's presentation at the meeting, was basically that it's disguised as a tax rebate. And so it looks like it is beneficial to all Oregonians, but I think what they said it was approximately $2,000 that it could potentially be for
Less
in a
than
rebate.
that,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's less than that too. I think it's somewhere around that area, but less than that. But the problem is that it basically amounts to a very significant tax on businesses that have revenue over a certain amount. I think it was 20 million, if I recall correctly. But we all know that when businesses sustain more operating costs, that cost is inherently passed on to consumers. And so, and the reality is that we're probably going to end up paying more than what the rebate check would be. So hopefully there's some good education on that when that ramps up and that measure is defeated. That's my opinion on it. The CP, I think, went really well tonight. That was great to get those grants out and approved pretty expeditiously and very straightforward. Dave, thank you very much for addressing the fountain. That seemed to be a hot topic, no pun intended.
Exactly.
The Columbia County Fair is July 17th through the 21st, just a reminder there. And Mayor, are you gonna speak a little bit about our Public Works Director's dual role and all the work he's doing?
Yes.
So I'll leave that to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yes, again, thank you to Bill Blank for his years and years of service. Because of Bill and, Scappoose is as good as it is. He was there to okay a lot of that on the Planning Commission, and he was part of it. Thank you to JJ Duran and Jeff Weiss for their great work on the Outdoor Festival. Definitely thank you to the Meisners for their donation. I'm looking forward to that park. We had the city county dinner last week as well. And again, Mike Sykes went over the power issues and that they're working on those. The CET meeting, the annual meeting was good. They're really doing good at recruiting business. The small business SBDC is really there to help a lot of the small businesses that need help. I think I saw it in the newsletter and in the spotlight or even on my email. So businesses can take advantage of that for free. And I did want to real quickly, we had brought this up last time. We had kind of made a motion to adjust Dave's compensation to that of a city manager. He's acting city manager this time. So not only is he doing the city manager job, which there is a lot, you got a union negotiation going on, got contracts to sign and do, departments to oversee. He's also working in his own department, which is very busy right now with a lot of business, construction infrastructure. So we had said, we threw out a number of Larry's salary compensation, but Larry was a unique number there because he didn't work all 5 days a week. There was no PERS, there's no medical. It was just kind of a salary. So I kind of wanted to we did a little digging and I wanted to come up with a little bit better number to really help compensate Dave for the work that he's going to be doing for this month and next month. And I don't know if you want any more information, but the amount that he would have done under Larry's was not very much. And so I wanted to at least look at maybe, I don't know if it's best to do it in a bonus system or just say increase a plaque, a plaque.
Or you could go with the plaque?
I'd like to look at just saying maybe a set number to increase the salary for each month. And I'm looking at like at the $2,500 to $3,000 a month ratio. That still puts him barely at what an average city manager would make doing one job, let alone him doing two. I'm looking for some support, or if we need more information on it, great, but because we're at the end of the month and it's about to be submitted, I thought I'd address it now. We can obviously do it later if we need more information. But is there a number that we feel comfortable with? It is good for both parties.
Question.
Yes.
Dave, I thank you for stepping up, because, I mean, your job alone is a lot. So how is that going to affect your department?
No, I'm managing both fine. It just makes for longer time. There's twice as many emails a day and twice as many communications in general, but
Are you
no,
getting any
the public-
support
public
and
works-
help?
no department is sacrificing, I
Uh-huh.
think, if that's what you're asking.
Basically more time, because our first question is if you need more help on the public works side, how can we find help to help you cover what you
Right.
might be missing? But you're not, it's more in addition to.
Yeah, no, I actually feel very comfortable with where I am. I not having any concerns of that or feel like it does require just some more time.
And I know, Dave, a lot of our staff, they're not gonna speak up a whole bunch, but we need to be there for them and be their voice. There is a lot of vacation time right now that it's being pushed out later. He's not doing some things because he's doing both roles. And so, I do think I want to make sure he's taken care of in that way. I just don't know the proper procedure or best way to do this.
Well, if he's doing two jobs, I mean, I don't know how a salary and a half works out, but that doesn't seem unreasonable for a short period of time.
Yeah, I have, if you're done, I have
Yeah.
kind of in
Yeah.
line with what Kim just said, just kind of going through the numbers here a little bit and trying to figure out what's fair and reasonable. And it's a two-prong approach to the way I'm thinking about this. And the first one was already covered in that, Dave, do you need actually any help to supplement? You already answered that.
You don't, no, yeah, I don't think so. This city has a rock star staff. Everybody runs their departments very, very well. But yes, the public works director role is a very full-time job by itself. And once again, I want to point out that I am honored that you guys are allowing me to do this, and I'm having a great time doing it. I love trying to help with change and bring things better. So thank you all for allowing me. But yeah, just it is a lot of work. I was tried to be on a vacation the other day, and I'm just taking emails. I take my computer with me everywhere I go, because otherwise just things get too far behind. And so it's always attached, but another staff wouldn't necessarily help with that. So
what I'm hearing is you need more work. Okay, so just a little bit of context and to talk through this a little bit. So Ben Berginger, did I say his Berginger? Am I saying his name
He
correctly?
says any
Sorry.
way you want it.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ben, if you're listening to this.
Okay.
So he is at a salary that we agreed to at $155,000 a year, which is $12,916 per month. If we divide that by two, we're at $6,458.33. I only throw those numbers out there just to put those in council's head because Dave's doing two jobs. And I think we want to be fair and reasonable. I don't know what the right number is, but I just want to give that as context.
And I do also want to add, we don't have a city manager on staff at this time, so we do have some money there. We're not spending. And Larry came in at a lower rate without PERS and medical and some stuff, so we were able to save some there, which I think ended up helping pay for the consultant basically that we used. So, and in that respect, I mean, I'm $6,000 a month for 2 months. If anybody has any
That
problems.
equals the amount, no, that's,
Per-
yeah.
Per month,
Mhm.
right? For 2 months.
For 2
Okay,
months,
yeah.
6 per month for 2 months.
'Cause he's already getting the benefits, so we're not adding any
No more
more.
PERS.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how the benefits work, but yeah, you might have to pay a little more because you're paying PERS or whatever, but not much. like you're doubling up, and it's not like a double medical or anything like that.
Is there, Dave, knowing the budget better than probably anybody else in this room, is there any any concerns with that from a budget standpoint?
No,
Kind of awkward for you, I
no,
assume.
no, no. I mean, yeah, you would be paying out another, what, $27,000 in wages alone over this time. However, I will say what I just heard is too generous. I'm not even remotely asking or needing that.
How many vacation days do you have left in this year?
Most all of my bank, because honestly, I haven't had time to take it yet. I mean, I was scheduled, I'm out next week, or I'm hoping to, but I'm gonna be here for a couple of those days and in August. I mean, yeah, so. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, yes, I've had vacations scheduled, but they're gonna be modified.
We have very significant things going on right now too. We have labor negotiations going on that are gonna take a lot of your time. You also have the infrastructure projects that you're working on too, that probably would have already taken more of your time than what you're used to throughout the average part of the year, just guessing. But I still feel, and I know you're not asking for that, and I heard what you said, but I still think that 6,000 is fair and the city's saving a lot of money. So that's where I sit with it.
We'll be training the new one as well, for months, I'm sure. Here,
But also be comfortable.
anybody want to make a motion?
Would you be more comfortable, say, 5,000 and then a week of vacation, extra week at the end of add-on?
Can we do that?
I'm just,
Attorney,
That might get complicated with.
I don't need the vacation.
okay.
That's fine.
Always take unpaid time. Well, then I make a motion to, I don't know, can
All right, Mr. Mayor, I'll make a
Counselor Hall.
motion.
I?
I'll make a motion that city council approve an additional $6,000 a month bonus to compensate the interim city manager for until September 1.
Motion by Counselor Holmes to make a $6,000 bonus compensation for 2 months to acting city manager Dave Sukow. Any seconds?
second for discussion.
Second by Counselor Miller. Discussion?
I just want to clarify that it's not, and it's addition to what he normally makes, not in addition to what we approved at last council meeting. It's an additional total to what you normally receive as Public Works Director classification of 6,000 per month for 2 months. And if for some reason, nothing's going to happen. We got a September 1 start date, so I won't go there.
So whatever your current is, adding 6,000 a month for 2 months.
We're halfway through the month.
Yeah, I mean, they don't get paid till the end of the month is what I'm understanding, so he can still enter it into the books now.
Is that's correct, Dave? So you.
Yeah, that's correct. We'll be turning in our payroll next week. It is at the end of the month, last day of the month.
Okay.
And so
You
with
started
this.
2 weeks ago, right?
Correct. Yeah, I will have done this role for 2 full months at the conclusion of it.
You notify whoever needs to know for payroll for Susan. Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Sorry, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Now the pressure's on.
Yeah, sorry to make you accept that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we are going into executive session. City of Scappoose will now meet in executive session for the purpose of ORS 192.660. The executive session is held pursuant to the -2-D for labor negotiations. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we'll return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. We don't anticipate any voting or anything after open session, but we'll open it up to adjourn. We're now in an executive session.